I was going to say, why don't we get started?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm at your disposal, Tina.
Okay, everybody, just some housekeeping reminders. So we are recording this session. That includes everything that goes into the chat. So just so that you are aware of that. If you have questions along the way, I was thinking we put them in the chat. Matt, are you good with that, or do you want people to jump in with questions?
Yeah, that's fine. Throw it into the chat.
Okay.
I've got a ton to throw at the wall. I could talk for hours, so I will try and be respectful and give everyone a couple of minutes also at the end. But if you have questions as it comes up, just throw it into the chat. Tina or I'll catch it, and yeah, we can run from there.
And we don't have hours because we have other
It's
sessions
true.
right after this. So we are going to be keeping this on time. And so, as you know, Matt is here today to talk about, personal brand and a digital brand. Matt is partner and co-founder at Treadstone Risk Management. He's an entrepreneur and insurance and risk management brokerage. He has also served as the president of the New Jersey chapter and is currently serving as our regional governor. He is both a parent and has a vegan diet. And if you have not already noticed this, Matt brings passion and excitement and enthusiasm to everything. And I do believe this is a topic that Matt is very passionate about. And so now I will turn it over to Matt.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tina. Everyone, I appreciate you joining us for this session. And yeah, I am totally passionate about this because really, I think this is kind of like the networking of the future, this topic right here. So before we get rolling and I throw the slides up, the one thing I want to ask for everyone is in the chat, just throw me one or two words. If I were to say the name Elon Musk, what's one or two words that make you think of Elon Musk? Or when you think of Elon Musk, what words come to mind when you hear that name? Just go ahead and throw it into the chat. I wish I had one of those fancy word clouds, but not today. So I'm seeing, let's see, the first couple: rich, genius, futurist is a good one, visionary. Frank says smokes weed with Rogan, probably. I think that's part of the visionary part. He's a blowhard sometimes. That is true. He's a little full of himself. Outer space, he is kind of synonymous with that. Innovator, genius, automation, environmentalist, Tesla being the brand, and space travel, space station. So those are all good. I appreciate those. Let me share my screen here and hopefully I can make this work for us. All right, so this is basically Elon Musk's Twitter account. All right, hopefully everyone can see this. If you can't, just speak up and let me know. But this is Elon Musk's Twitter account. And the phrase that I would use to describe him is alpha nerd, okay? Which probably 20 or 30 years ago would have been an oxymoron. It's still maybe even slightly an oxymoron nowadays, but when you look through just the things he's posting about, obviously you see a lot of space, you see a lot of technology. Occasionally there's some of these kind of like, these kind of like quippy kind of things that he throws in there, right? But a lot of it really has to do with that kind of brand, the idea of being a futurist, a future thinker, space travel, and that kind of thing. So what he shares isn't just random, okay? Some of it might be random, but a lot of it is calculated, okay? He's trying to portray himself as pretty much what we perceive him as. I think he does a very good job of, portraying himself as, what we're basically seeing in the public eye, so to speak. Okay, so keeping that in mind, what we're talking about today is basically building a personal brand for you, and really a lot of it is going to focus on the the digital end of it, but understand that a lot of this goes beyond just the digital. All right, so really quickly, this is my my more elaborate bio information. I'm not really too concerned with that. What I would say is the right side of the screen is really what's important. That's basically my contact information and how you can kind of get a better sense of who I am online. Okay. My LinkedIn, obviously, my Twitter, and then this Linktree link goes to all of the outlets that we put information out for Treadstone, which is my firm. All right, so just a really quick agenda. Basically, what we're going to do is talk about why you're going to
Matt,
brand yourself. Yep, go ahead.
so it's the way you're sharing, it's kind of doing like your next slide and your current slide are all showing up on the
Oh,
screen.
that is interesting. Hold on. Uh, no, I don't want to
Matt,
see all
go up
slides.
top where it says display settings.
Yep.
Click on that, swap presenter view and slideshow.
Does that work better?
Yeah, so we see your slideshow, not your next slide.
Okay, awesome, fantastic. All right, sorry. I appreciate that. Yep, so really quickly, we're going to talk about why brand yourself online, top online branding channels that you can use, personal online branding best practices, some things to keep in mind, and then hopefully time permitting, if I'm not too long-winded, a little Q&A. All right, I'm going to kind of be in a bull in the China shop a little bit with this, but I'm going to try and go through this really quickly. Consumer behavior trends. 3.6 billion people globally are using social media in 2020. Over 500 million people are watching video on Facebook every single day. So that just kind of shows you, people are migrating. It was basically the TV, right? 20 or 30 years ago, that was the sole form of video entertainment. Now it's Facebook. 81% of businesses are using video as a marketing tool, and that's up from 63% in 2019. So part of the reason why you're going to want to online brand yourself is because businesses are using video and online marketing for a reason. Customers are there. Well, the businesses are also there too. Not to mention the fact a lot of their infrastructure is transitioning to the cloud. 1.5 billion logged into YouTube monthly active users. That's a big deal. 1.5 billion people log into YouTube every month to view content on YouTube. 310 million monthly active users on LinkedIn. Huge platform. Originally, LinkedIn, this is like a little bit of a trivia question, but I think a lot of people know this. LinkedIn was originally used as simply a hiring and try and find your next job type of platform. It is not just that anymore. It has gone beyond that. What I do like about LinkedIn is it's kind of self-policing in a way. It's still very much just for professional content. When people try and get too political or social, kind of issues that we're dealing with in the country and stuff, it has to be linked to something professional. If it's just someone ranting, typically they get lambasted by the professionals that are on the platform. So I do appreciate it for that aspect. 63% of Twitter's 330 dollar signs in there incorrectly, but 63% of Twitter's 330 million monthly active users are between 35 and 65. Not all social media platforms are created equally when it comes to who uses it and specifically the age of the folks that are using the platform. All right, a little bit more. The number of bloggers in the United States is expected to grow from 31.7 million in 2020. Blogging is not dead. It is not dead. The search engine optimization tactic for getting attention is alive and well. Okay, words still matter. The average blog post length is actually 1,236 words. If you looked at that a couple of years ago, it was far less, right? It used to be that everyone was blogging about, the sandwich that they ate or, whatever, what the cat did that day. Blogs have now become, some of them anyways, have become this source of authoritative content. And we'll look at some examples of that. Average time to write a blog post, 3 hours and 57 minutes. These are not diary entries, okay? These are, and like I said, in some cases, not all, they are potentially scholarly articles, right? They are works of research and professional development and, self-help and all kinds of other things that are, couldn't be further away from just a long form, what most people nowadays would do in a Facebook post, okay? 850,000 active podcasts, and there's over 30 million podcast episodes right now in 2020. And then more than half of all US consumers above the age of 12 listen to podcasts. That's a big deal. I don't know how many of you do it, but I know myself, when I do have a lot of time in the car, COVID, notwithstanding, I'm typically listening to podcasts. If I'm not listening to a little bit of music to kind of like unwind, I'm listening to something that's substantive that I can garner some information from as I'm driving on the road, and otherwise might have been wasting that time. All right. So we're going to start talking about the best practices in terms of just some questions and things to work on first. All right. Who's your target audience? All right. That's really important. And actually, maybe even the question that you have to ask before this is, what's your end game look like? Right. What ultimately do you want to do? Me, my first goal is to sell. Right. I'm a broker. My first goal is to sell. My second goal is to build a personal brand as a thought leader. Okay. And in some cases, those things go hand in hand. So what's your end game? Is your end game to transition to a new industry, a new position within the same industry? Is it to generate some kind of side hustle that's going to generate revenue aside from your 9 to 5? All of those questions you have to answer first. All right. And then that's going to create the framework for each one of the decisions that you make after that. So the next question you have to ask is, who's your target audience? Who are you ultimately trying to reach? If you're looking to find that next job, okay, who's the hiring manager? What do they look like? And I'm not talking about a very basic understanding of the demographic. Okay. Marketers, when someone's marketing a product, where they really go awry, and one of the most rookie mistakes is they cast their net way too wide. They think, okay, I'm going to market to young men age 18 to 25 in the Northeast, and that's where they stop with their market analysis. That's a huge mistake, because that's such a wide audience in terms of the diversity of appetite and what appeals to them. You're never going to be able to speak directly to any one of those individuals. It's always going to seem fake or hollow. So just remember that. If you're really looking for a job, my drill down would be, I'm looking for a senior underwriter position at a top 50 or top 100 carrier that has offices in this geographic area where the salary is this rate. Like, you need to get really granular with it. All right. If you're not specifically looking for a type of position, it needs to not just be like specific dollar amounts, but think more in terms of, what does the job look like kind of philosophically? Do you have autonomy, or are you, is someone looking over your shoulder all the time? Is it one particular type of risk that you want to work on, or is it a lot of different types of risk? Those questions all have to be asked. The take home from this course could be, the last time that you were on a job hunt, you kind of did some of this already. Okay. You had to ask yourself, where you wanted to work and what you wanted to do. This now takes that and turns it into kind of like an action plan, so to speak, or at least it gives you a framework of what you're going to do in order to create that brand that now makes you synonymous with that position for someone who might see what you're doing. All right. Show up where your target audience hangs out. If you didn't get the gist by now, I like memes, so you're gonna have to deal with some memes. Luckily enough, there's not too many animated GIFs, so we won't have any technical difficulties on that end. But yeah, so show up where your target audience hangs out. If you are, if you're selling a product, okay, or if you're trying to build a brand in a certain industry or in a certain, market segment, you're not going to go elsewhere. If you're selling to young people and you're trying to do it on LinkedIn, you're going the wrong way. Okay, young people aren't on LinkedIn. All right, they're on Snapchat, they're on Instagram. They're on a host of other platforms that is not LinkedIn. All right. The other thing that you got to remember is, wherever your target audience is hanging out, you have to tailor the content to that platform and that audience. Okay. Some people like to read long form scholarly articles. Some people have the attention span of a goldfish. All right. You have to be able to anticipate that and kind of frame what you're doing to build your brand from that standpoint. All right. Growing trends toward more business being done online and remotely. This is something where, like I said, more and more of our lives are being lived online or digitally, at least with an assist from technology. Okay, so maybe not completely, but at least with an assist. So this kind of speaks again to that heart of, you can personally brand yourself outside of technology. Okay, a lot of our speakers over, today and yesterday, they are in-person speakers. But if you notice, they're using technology to build a brand for themselves, make them look like or basically communicate that they are a subject matter expert, and then facilitate them getting in front of people. Okay, so it's a tool, and it's going to continue to be of value. All right, now when I say be a Buffalo, um, you know, no offense to the no offense to any of the potential Buffalo Bills fans that might be in the room, but so being a Buffalo comes from this story about this idea of change, and I love the fact that Abby did a change management session before I'm doing this one. The move to digital and the move to more of a electronically connected world is scary. It's a seed change. Okay, it's a major shift in the way that things are done in our everyday life and our professional life. That can be scary. Well, the analogy is when a storm is coming across the plains, cattle, okay, typically run away from the storm. Buffaloes run into it. And the reason why you want to be a buffalo is because the cattle running away from it, the storm still chases them. And they actually end up staying in the storm for longer. If you're a buffalo and you run towards the storm, you get through it quicker. Okay. Sorry if I'm giving anyone in Florida a little bit of PTSD with that analogy, but but the idea is really you want to be a buffalo. Okay. You have to be able to take this head on. All right. Now I'm not saying you have to drink from a fire hose. Again, I'm going to show you a ton of stuff. You don't have to do it all. If you take one thing away today, I think that's a win. All right. The other analogy or the other story is to be an octopus. All right. Octopus has 8 tentacles. Okay. And each one of them can do something on its own at any given point, any one given point in time. Um, Technology has created so many different ways to communicate and so many different platforms. You have to be able to at least be, a little bit of a chameleon. You have to be able to move between 2 or 3 of them. And like I said, you're thinking about those different platforms and who you're reaching there and what they want to hear and how they want to hear it. All right. It's not going to be the same on each one of those. So you have to be a little bit of a chameleon when it comes to those different circumstances. All right, so top online branding channels. I think a lot of us know the big ones. Okay, the biggest kind of company online right now that people spend the most time with, or at least has the biggest um, market share, is Google. Okay, Google has basically the number one kind of go-to status online as far as users go. Number 2 is YouTube, believe it or not, Google and YouTube. And then the other ones fill in the rest. It's Facebook, it's Twitter, it's LinkedIn, it's Instagram, and a host of others that have come out in the recent past, and most of us know. All right. Okay. So I'm actually going to part ways with this slide just because this is like a shorthand link. And let me just try and pull this down for a second here. Excuse me while I get situated. So I am going to reshare my screen and hopefully my web browser comes up. Perfect. All right. So let's talk about the different channels and kind of what I do or what other folks are doing on those channels. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to talk about Twitter. I would say that as insurance professionals or just professionals in general, the 2 go-to platforms are LinkedIn and Twitter. All right. LinkedIn more for kind of that scholarly professional interaction, and then Twitter as far as the real-time, just bulk communication that can go out there. Okay. Twitter is also a place that is used for a multitude of different things, whereas LinkedIn stays mostly professional. Twitter can be used for, political raging. It can be used for coordinating with friends. So there are a bunch of different uses, and so there's a lot of, I'll call it a lot of noise on Twitter. So you do have to really learn how to kind of like focus your, focus your message and find a way to get it to the people you want to see it. Okay, it's really going to come down to hashtags. It's going to come down to being able to create things that create, being able to post things that create a conversation. Twitter is really all about the conversation. Okay. Dana saying, not a Twitter fan. Is there a learner's guide? There's a number of different places that you can learn about Twitter. I'm actually giving you a broad overview today, but I definitely want to, at some point in the future, touch on a couple of these different, social media platforms and give like an in-depth view. I would say the Agents and Brokers Interest Group on our YouTube channel is going to be starting a series of lives where I think not this next week, but maybe the week after, I'm going to be working with Precious. If you don't know Precious from the Dallas CPCU chapter, we're going to go live pretty much every Wednesday early evening for probably about 30 minutes, and we're just going to pick a selling topic. Okay, branding, cross-selling, things like that. I think at least a couple of those I'm going to reserve for doing, a hands-on approach to each one of these platforms. But the one thing I can tell you is, kind of how I use it. So I have a bunch of different accounts. The one that I use as my personal account that is, me, is something that is a lot of insurance and risk management. So this one, and props to Terrence for giving me a little ha-ha here on the response. But this is the kind of stuff that I share when I'm trying to be a little bit whimsical, right? Instead of giving out Kit Kats, I'm giving out 40 hours of forklift safety training videos. Again, that's not going to go viral. In fact, I pretty much stole it from someone else, and even their post didn't go viral. But the idea is you want to be targeted, okay? So I want the people that are actually going to respond to this type of post, all right? I'm not going out there and posting cat memes expecting insurance people to be like, oh, he's insurance, he posted a cat meme, I'm going to respond. I'm going to get a bunch of randos that are going to respond to my cat meme, okay? So that's kind of the mentality. I can show you some of the other things that I post. A lot of it is like CPCU related. Obviously I've been posting a lot about iDay recently, but scroll down a little bit more, I'm sharing industry information. I'm sharing, posts about books that I've read and how they've helped me. I'm cross-promoting other creators like Tony and Insurance Nerds. I'm following people that are influencers within the insurance space on this platform. If you're an insurance broker and you're not following Seth Zaremba, I feel sorry for you. So if you are an insurance broker, you should definitely look up Seth. He's working on some absolutely fantastic things, and he's very, very cutting edge. One of the other names that I follow that's in the broker space online is Chris Paradiso. Chris Paradiso does a lot online as well. So you come to, end up finding these personalities. Again, this is someone who Seth started not necessarily with an online brand. He started from zero, and now he's built a following so that when he puts something out, the people that are connected to him, one, they know what to expect. And when it comes out, they're like, yeah, that's obviously Seth. A lot of times he could put out a tweet or something like that. I don't even have to see his name. I know exactly who put it out because of the voice that it's in or what it has to do with and how it's being presented, okay? Again, CPCU stuff, I share a ton of things. This is really kind of like my go-to for just kind of real-time and bulk insurance communication type stuff. All right. Again, I can do a little bit more of a drill down. Yes, I know you sent this privately to me, Patrick. My wife does know I have multiple Twitter accounts, so don't worry about it. I'm not doing anything shady, unless it's creating burner accounts to, rip on the Giants for not putting a good product on the field. So anyway, all right. So the other platform is LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn is going to be most folks' bread and butter. A lot of people don't take full advantage of it. LinkedIn is an absolutely fantastic platform. It rose, had a lot of popularity. It kind of leveled off or fell down a little bit because they had problems with the algorithm and how posts and information were getting put in front of people. And now it's beginning to rise again. It used to be that you could post something on Facebook and it would be shown to a ton of people if there was a lot of engagement. They've cut that down. LinkedIn now gives you a little bit more of what's called organic reach, where you can put a post out and it can literally hit, thousands and thousands of eyes. One of the most popular posts I've put out, I don't know if anyone saw it, was basically something that was to the effect of, please stop sending me a LinkedIn request and I connect to everyone, but I want high value relationships. And if you message me right after you connect to me and try and sell me something, I'm not going to consider you a high value relationship. So many people that I'm connected to were like, holy crap, I totally feel that way. And it was like likes, shares, comments, like people were all over it. Okay. That doesn't necessarily happen as readily anymore on Facebook, okay? Twitter a little bit, but again, Twitter, for something to go viral on Twitter, it's more the enraging stuff that goes viral on Twitter, not the sympathetic or the happy or anything else that's out there. Just to give you a couple of like heads up, one thing I'm going to show you is actually I'm going to show you on my phone if no one knew that this existed. So if you can see my phone, I have the LinkedIn app open. All right. Right up here in the little search screen, there's a little QR code button right up there. And if you hit that QR code button, it brings up the QR scanner. The other option that you have is you can flip over to your QR code and you can share your QR code with someone in person. Now, granted, we're talking about a COVID type world, so this doesn't come into play as often right now. Hopefully it will a little bit more prominently in the future. But that gives you a way of personally being able to share your contact information real time with someone that you meet. There's also options in LinkedIn and other apps where you can real time basically open it and find people that also have the app open. The limitation there is that it's, the other person has to have the app open and is looking to make connections in your approximate GPS location. Okay, so but that's a nice little tidbit. When you're putting together your profile, again, you need to remember who you're trying to reach. So me, again, I want to sell. I want to be looked at as a thought leader. Little things that are kind of like the icing on the cake. You can put these little, if you see the shields in the my title, you can put these kind of little emojis in when you're putting in your title. Most people don't know you can actually right click. I think it works in Apple as well with however the magic button is or whatever. And I think Apple supports 2-button mice now, but on Windows I know it works. If you right click, it'll bring up a menu of emojis that you can put in there, so you can add a little bit of personality. Something else that you can do is you can put articles and ebooks and videos in this kind of featured section right here. So if you notice, when people come across me, they're getting my name, my certifications, my position or my position statement. That's another thing. You don't just have to put senior underwriter or claims adjuster. You can put something in there about your philosophy. All right. It helps a lot if you don't have a current position, obviously, but it also helps a lot when it comes to actually, branding yourself. Again, I call attention to my intro video in my summary. So again, you're coming down, you get a basic text-based about section where I'm giving a little bit of an intro, and then you get this featured section where I have an ebook, which is essentially an e-text that I've put together. It's an intro video of myself. Nothing special, no Federico Fellini type stuff going on. Okay, and then an introduction to my agency. All right, you can put a ton of featured stuff in here. I usually rotate pretty much the same kind of 3 things unless I have something that I'm working on. All right, I'm not going to go too much further into LinkedIn. Again, I don't want to go, too deep a dive. I would say, obviously kind of round out your work history a little bit here. I would say the other advantage of LinkedIn is that you can go and get these endorsements. Okay. If you notice, I have some, but like as far as the number of connections I have, having 87 endorsements for insurance or 60 for property and casualty, it's actually a low number. I'm probably bordering on about like 5,000 or 6,000 connections on LinkedIn right now. I should have way more than that. I just don't spend time on getting the endorsements. But again, that's social proof. If anyone's ever heard the phrase social proof, that basically gives you that kind of proof that people are saying, you know what, this person knows that, right? There's all kinds of imposters out there digitally. A lot of folks put up guards, rightfully so. And so you need some of that social proof to make people know that immediately you've got some street cred, so to speak. All right. Before I move on, I just want to make sure I'm not ignoring the chats. LinkedIn has issues with relationship seeking and politics sometimes. That's true. It can. Like I said, there are a good number of people on LinkedIn though that'll come out of the woodwork and comment like that has no place on LinkedIn. You can copy the QR code. Thanks, Mike. You can copy the QR code and make it part of your presentation. My presentation, your presentation. That's a fantastic idea. If I remember correctly, Abby's last slide in her change management presentation had that. Don't mind my push notifications. And then Terrence said, my business cards feature a QR code. When you scan it, it goes to my LinkedIn page, which is fantastic. I love that idea. I also have a little RFID business card. I don't know if I want to necessarily pull it out, but I have an RFID business card where it actually uses the remote or the wireless charging on the back of your smartphone. Oh my God, Murphy's Law. Now I'm gonna have a problem getting it out of my wallet. It's called Blue Social, and you actually just put it to the back of someone's smartphone and it will pull up a landing page that has your contact information. You can build a landing page for yourself that will show up for people to be able to connect to you. And like I said, all you have to do is tap it to the back of their smartphone. Hopefully you're asking for their permission before you do that. All right, so moving along. All right, so the only other thing I'm going to talk about on LinkedIn, and I don't know if Heather is with us. Hopefully, I'm not putting her in a position where she doesn't want to be, but the one reason why I'm showing her LinkedIn profile is Heather does a fantastic job of using something that a lot of people don't utilize on LinkedIn. LinkedIn can actually be a scholarly article or / a blog platform for you. If you don't want to manage your own blog or manage your own website, you can use LinkedIn as a de facto blog for yourself. So I'm just showing her profile and just this specific section to show you the articles that she's written and put out there. And again, just because this doesn't get actively organically shared doesn't mean it's not able to be utilized. It's something that you can call attention to. So when it comes up in conversation, if you see something that gets posted online, you can go back and say, hey, that's a great point. I actually wrote an article about that way back when, and share the hyperlink. And now you can get people, manually to go to this content. I actually use YouTube that way. Quite frankly, there's not tons of people that are searching out risk management advice, at least operational risk management advice on YouTube. All right. But what I do have is an inventory of videos that now I can link to whenever I see someone come up and say, hey, we have this problem, or hey, we have this concern. Interestingly enough, I've done a YouTube video on that. Here, check it out. Okay. It gives you a little bit of content that you can, kind of work into the mix. All right. The next thing I'm going to show is anyone who's not connected with Bill Wilson online, definitely connect with him. Bill Wilson is another one of the folks that's in the Insurance Nerds ecosystem, I'll call it. Bill is the next iteration of running your own kind of platform. So Bill runs a blog. It's called insurancecommentary.com. So if you go to insurancecommentary.com, you can actually sign up and get his new blogs in your email. His blogs are extremely substantive. They're always timely. So he's been talking about COVID a lot over the last couple of months. And so this is just a good example of how now this is like that next step up, right? Bill has also written books before, so this gives him a platform to also let those books live there, and also to be a marketing platform for those items if and when he sells them. All right. All right, and then the last thing I'm going to point to outside of kind of my world, and I think Tony was on, Insurance Nerds. Insurance Nerds, again, I called it an ecosystem. I mean, really, Tony and the other nerds have basically created a media company focused on insurance, focused on risk management, and focused on kind of bringing youth into the insurance industry. And so this is like, if Heather's use of blogging is kind of like, stage 1, Bill is stage 2. This is probably like stage 11. Okay. And again, this is a team that's putting this together. So you don't have to do this as an individual, but if you have a couple of people that are like-minded in your organization or in your network, this is something that's achievable, with a little bit of know-how and some good intent. All right. So I blog myself. I run it off of our website. So if you ever want to look at this, if you just go to treadstonerisk.com, at the very top, you hit TRM Risk Advisor is the name of the blog. Most of these blog articles are myself. My business partner is not really a blogger, so he has his own tools and techniques as far as how he is branding himself and selling. This is where most of my blog content lives. You are free to go take a look at it. Again, I really like memes. I like kind of some of these whimsical things. So again, I like networking and having a good time. I like laughing. I like, building relationships that aren't just these kind of like cold mechanical relationships. And the jokes or the tongue-in-cheek type stuff that I include in the blogs goes a long way towards communicating that. Okay. If you want to be more scholarly, you don't have to add that. You can add charts and graphs and get as crazy as as you want to be. In my former life, I was an engineer. Believe me, we can throw down with some technical research stuff in some of these blogs. But again, the brand I'm looking for is really kind of somewhere in between there. Let's see, Rita's asking, will you be covering resources to accomplish the posts and articles for solopreneurs, single person operators? Yeah, so there's a host of stuff. I would tell you the first place to look is just in the multitude of Chrome extensions that are out there. This one right here is called Evernote. If you can see at the top of my screen, the green elephant. Evernote is great. It's like a note-taking, it has note-taking ability. It also allows you to take either screenshots or actually capture articles that you read online and file them in a system so that you're creating a research file for one article that you're writing. Okay, so I'll give you one, Rita, but there's a ton of others that you can use. If you go online, actually, one of my last slides, once we get back to the PowerPoint, is basically the power of Google is very big. You can use Google to find out a lot of information. So there's always a ton of that stuff out there. All right, Craig's asking, how much time per week are you working specifically on your brand rather than your day job? That's a really good question. So you have to be consistent with it. All right. So whatever you do choose, first of all, something is better than zero. All right. I'm a little bit of a crazy person. So my wife and my kids hardly ever see me Monday through Friday. They see me most of Saturday and most of Sunday, and I'm working Sunday night and then Monday through Friday like an animal. So the amount of time that I'm spending towards this is probably way more than you will be. I'm going to warn you, this can be, you can get the ball rolling and your juices get flowing and you're like, you get into it. Okay. And I'm going to show you really my big thing right now is I tried blogging for a while. I still occasionally put up blogs. I haven't been as consistent with it because I'm really more so into video and audio right now. And that's really something I'm trying to nail down. The other thing you're going to find out, like I said, I would rather you not try and do everything, try and do one thing and just figure out how to do that well. I'm someone who has to try a bunch of different things and then figure out what I like. And then I, narrow in on that one thing and really kind of go after it. But yeah, whatever you're going to dedicate yourself to, something is better than nothing. And consistency is the key, right? At no point in time should you be like, oh, I have to write, 5 blog articles tonight so I can take off the rest of the week. You're better off like writing one a night. Or if you're going to write one blog article, if you're going to do, a handful of educated posts on Twitter or on LinkedIn, do it consistently. You don't necessarily have to just kind of like dive into it unless you're that person. Some people can just do that and marathon a ton of content. The other thing you got to remember is the best content is current, right? So if you put a ton of stuff together like the beginning of the week, the world can look completely different at the end of the week, right? Imagine all of that content that was put together talking about, uh, you know, workplace safety at the beginning of the week right before lockdowns happened. Okay, that content is gone. It's not valuable anymore. All right. So just remember that if you're consistent, you can also catch those waves of whatever those topics are that come and go. All right. Now, another resource that I use, if you saw on my LinkedIn portfolio, on that featured section, I have a downloadable ebook. It's basically a text that's kind of this wide sweeping overview on insurance and risk management. Very general, not specific to any specific industry. Okay, anyone who understands the way that sales funnel work, it's the top of the funnel. It's the widest, broadest, most kind of collection point. Okay. If I wanted to get more specific, I would create another version. And if you notice on the screen I'm sharing, this is a software package that I use called designer.io, DESIGNRR.io. All right. It does cost money. There is a free version, but you deal with their brands and stuff like that. But it does cost money to have an account for this that doesn't have all of the branding in it. But what it can do is it can take a bunch of blogs and you can copy and paste them into here and it will automatically format them into an ebook. And then you just go back through and clean it up. The first iteration of this was very messy. It was very difficult. you had to basically learn a new type of software platform. Okay. It's gotten much better. They're beginning to fine tune it and fine tune it and fine tune it. Thank you, Rita, for sharing the link in the chat. Something else that I'll tell you, and it's kind of this line because I believe they're like a sister company. If anyone's heard of the name Lumen, Lumen, again, Lumen, Lumen, Lumen is a way for you to take kind of like slides and pictures and animate them. So you can take like a slide deck and animate it and then like overlay captions on it. You can take pictures and things like that and overlay verbiage onto it and actually turn stills into a movie. So that's another way that you can kind of like take and repurpose content, or work smarter and not harder. But so the reason why I'm showing you this is, there's all kinds of tools out there. That's one that I use. And this is an example of what's been created. Again, a 91-page, basically textbook, okay? And this is the table of contents. The table of contents is all HTML links to each one of the sections. So, someone who comes here just for one or two subjects doesn't have to scroll through the whole thing. But if you notice, all of these are basically kind of like blog posts, but they're all in one place, okay? Fully downloadable, fully transportable. And the best is you can include interactive elements in here, such as contact buttons, such as links to outside information. If you notice, every single one of these has a vlog link on the end of it. Some of these might be dead because I haven't updated them in a while, but if I click the vlog link, it should open. Yeah, you see I delisted this YouTube video. But there is the option to link through to other content, okay? So again, I love kind of like technological toys and stuff like that. So that is one of the toys that I use to create ebooks. All right, like I said,
Matt,
yes,
we've
go
got
ahead.
5 minutes.
Okay, all right, really quickly. So I'm going to run through the rest of these really fast. This is YouTube, all right? The way I use YouTube is, again, long form videos. Again, not many of these are going to go viral. I'm not seeing thousands of views on each one of these. What I want is target, right? I'm creating content that's targeted to a specific group, and I'm going to be linking to these usually if someone has a question and it comes up. So if you want to take a look at it, you can always look up Treadstone Risk Management on YouTube and check out the channel. All right, podcasting. You can rip the audio from that YouTube video and put it onto a podcast really easy. This is a free service called Anchor.fm, ANCHOR.fm, just like a naval anchor or a ship's anchor. For free, they will allow you to upload tons of episodes. It automatically lists your podcast on all of these different platforms. Okay. Again, you can shoot a video. First, you can just record straight audio and upload it there. And Anchor even offers you a live option where you just live record yourself and then it automatically posts it. The other option is you can take that vlog video that you've done on YouTube, strip out the audio, and make podcast episodes out of that as well. All right. And here's the last one I'm going to give you, the last little trinket, is you can create an individual landing page. You don't have to have a whole big website. This is called wiseintro.co. Wiseintro.co. They offer two things that I really like. There's a couple of other services and widgets that they have in there, but they give you this option of having this kind of personal landing page where you can just have a very basic overview of who you are. And then the other thing they offer is more dynamic email signatures. So if I click over to my email signature, that loads on, I mostly just use it on new emails that go out. So the first time I'm starting an email chain, this will preload into Outlook. You can actually attach it to your Outlook or your email client. And if you notice, it's more complex than a traditional email signature. Gives a bunch of different places you can link to me. This W is actually my Wise intro page. So you can get more information about me if you don't want to go to LinkedIn or you're not a LinkedIn person. And then it also gives you the option to leave a review for our company, subscribe to the blog, or view our intro video. This is very customizable. There's all kinds of modules and things like that that you can add into here. So again, I'm not going to go in depth, but this is another tool that I use that, the signature panel or the bottom of your emails is unused real estate quite often. All right. So that's really the tools and kind of like the fun stuff. Let me go really quickly here and then we will finish up really fast. And let's see. Do I have the same? There we go. All right. So make sure to follow some information, get some information in terms of how to do online marketing, right? Even if you're just branding yourself to try and become a speaker or get a new job or something like that, read, do some research. I like Gary Vaynerchuk. Again, he's not safe for work because he uses a lot of curse words, so just keep that in mind. He's done a couple. He's a big believer in giving free, which is part of the reason why I've created ebooks and videos and things like that. I don't want to have to sell someone something. I want to come to them with something in my hand that I can hand to them for free that has value, where I can show, look, I'm not just trying to make a sale. I'm legitimately trying to create a relationship and help you out. Seth Godin is really good. Simon Sinek is really good. All right, here's something else to remember. Less is more. Don't think that everything has to be completely long-winded and buttoned up and everything like that. Some of the most popular posts, Facebook posts and Twitter posts and things like that of all times are 1 word, 2 words, 3 words. Take time, craft it, okay? Don't think that this is just a flippant kind of thing that you can put out there. You really have to think about it, okay? Again, this stuff lives forever if you don't take it down. In fact, it lives forever even if you do take it down and someone takes a snapshot. So whatever you put up there, it's evergreen, which is good because it can drive traffic to you for a long period of time. But also if you put something out there that's hateful or, obviously not good, it's going to follow you for a while. Again, here's some more influencers. Some of you may know Ryan Hanley on the right-hand side here. This guy right here, second from the right, Noah Kagan. He's actually really interesting. He was like number 7 or something like that at Facebook. He's gone on to create a bunch of other .com companies. If you look him up, Kagan, K-A-G-A-N, I'll actually put his name into the chat. He's got some really interesting stuff that he does. Very young at heart kind of guy, and some really interesting companies that he started. All right, let me see here. Let's finish up really quickly. Like I said, continuous improvement, a little bit every single day. When in doubt, Google it, right? There's a lot of information at your fingertips, and that's it. So I don't know if we have any time left, but maybe we have a time for 1 or 2 questions if anyone has any.
Well, if we don't have questions, thank you, Matt, for this presentation. It was definitely a lot of content that you went through in a quick amount of time, but it was definitely very informative. I wanted to remind everybody that we have 2 more sessions coming up. We have Stefan Holzberger, who's going to be talking about carrier innovation, and we have Brian Falchuk, who's going to be talking about future of insurance. And you can get to both of those links back at our website. And so if we don't have any other questions, then we will see you over there in a few minutes.
Patrick said, I'll keep talking if he doesn't stop the recording. That is true, Patrick. I might be here for another 3 hours. We don't know. If anyone does have any continuing questions, please feel free to connect to me, online stalk me, connect to me and ask me questions there. And I'm always more than happy to help out.